Hello and welcome to 5 at 5. Important day for Indian women's cricket because after a year, not only will they return to the game, the long wait has ended in terms of the BCCI announcing the squad that will represent India against South Africa. And from what we know, and then will make their way to Lucknow where the series will be played. So before all of that, and I dive into this debate about selection, very surprising selections, some really strange omissions. I will have my guests join me. Take a look at what Irfan Pathan has to say about the House at app.
क्या आप भी किसी अपने सपने मेरे तुम्हारे टीम 11 पे टीम बना रहे हो और बच्चों के साथ खेल रहे हो? हमारे साथ खेलोगे? हाउस ऐप पे खेलो लेजेंड्स के साथ. हमें हराओ और जीतो डबल कैश. Log on to houseapp.com and win real cash.
Okay, so 12 months down the line, India will be playing the 50 over World Cup in New Zealand. And if there is one tournament that the Indian women's team actually has a real chance of winning, it is the 50 over tournament that everybody knows. All of us will agree that we have a really good chance. And one of the reasons being, Jhulan Goswami and Shikha Pandey make a fantastic opening bowling pair. Why has Shikha Pandey been dropped from this particular team? That's a really important question. Someone told me that she has been rested and I started laughing. I said, 1 year the girls haven't played. You mean to say rested? Do you even know what you're talking about? Is this for real? So why has Shikha Pandey been left out? Why is Ekta Bisht not there in the team? Tanya Bhatia? Why is Shafali Verma not included in the ODI side? Which are the players who have missed out and why? To debate all this and discuss with me more, I'm joined by two guests of mine. One, my own colleague Trisha Ghoshal, and second, Yash Lahoti. Both of them very, very keen observers of the women's game. Yash, who is founder and CEO of Women's Cricket Zone, one of the most influential portals now talking about the women's game and doing hell lot of stories, breaking stories, doing serious work. And Trisha, who has been an ardent follower of the game, is a level A coach, is very closely associated with the game, talks to all of the players. So two people who are in the know. And you know why I have called them? Because none of them have any baggage to carry. So Yash will call spade a spade, so will Trisha. That is the whole point of doing this debate, because we need to understand. And by the way, we are not here to criticize Neetu David and her selection committee. That is not the point. The point is we need to understand why these selections. Do they make sense? Do they not? So Yash, to you first. Firstly, have you been able to make sense of these selections? Question number one. Question number two, would it not have been better had Neetu David taken some questions via virtual press conference from the media, explaining her choices to all of us so that we could understand the vision of this new selection committee? Yes, Yash.
So both the questions completely agreed to you. Your point first, I think so that there should be a press conference as which used to happen with MSK Prasad in the men's thing before a year or so. That needs to be done. And second, of course, I haven't been able to understand the entire selection, what has happened. We're just 12 months ahead of the 50 over World Cup. Jhulan and Shikha have been the best opening bowling pair for us. And you do not see Shikha Pandey in the ODI or the T20I squad. That's a very surprising exclusion, as have been the others. And I am very shocked with the inclusions also.
Okay, so let me ask you another one before I go to Trisha. You run a women's cricket exclusive portal. I'm sure over the last 3 hours, you, your editor Ananya Upendran, and several others, I'm sure you guys must have debated amongst yourselves and tried to reach out to the players. At least some of the players who have been left out. Give me the backstory. Did you manage to? So what is Ananya saying? What are some of the others saying? Have you been able to reach out to the players, even if off record? Don't name anyone. I don't want anyone to get into trouble. But what is the grapevine? Give me some understanding of what people are saying about the selection.
So we've been trying to reach out to players. A few players haven't been picking up calls, which is quite understandable. And the others have been told by the management that they have been rested. I do not understand how and why they have been rested. One, because they have been returning after a year. And second, it's just 7 days time, not even 7 days. The first ODI starts on 7th of March. The first senior domestic starts on the 11th of March. So people who have been apparently rested will be playing more number of domestic games during their so-called rest period, which is completely, I do not understand.
So Trisha, now make sense of this selection. I mean, obviously this is a new selection committee. They have a vision. Neetu David has been one of the legends of our game. In fact, I am part of that ICC nomination committee. I've got no qualms in saying that I, for example, nominated her to be included in the ICC Hall of Fame. Obviously, that nomination process goes through multiple levels, but she is one of those legends of our game. So, make sense of the selection for me. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think if you see Boriada, they have gone for some really new players. Probably the only thing which comes to my mind when I see these teams is that probably the selection committee is thinking of investing on players, and that is where that is where it is a little weird for me, because see, you went in with Shikha Pandey and invested on her for a long time, and now just before the World Cup, because you have to actually completely forget, because in 2020 there was no cricket for women, so you now suddenly put Shikha Pandey out and you invest in a new pacer or in a new team, and in 1 year are you looking forward to win the World Cup? And when you say you're resting them, okay, one, what are you resting them from? Two, why are you resting them? Because they anyway don't have match practice. So for me, making a sense of the selection can only say probably they want young blood in the team. But why would you replace you can't replace your pillars as such. So yeah, it's very hard to actually completely understand.
Yash, if I now ask you to get into specifics, like for example, for me, Shikha Pandey was the standout omission. Maybe a Ekta Bisht. But when I see Radha Yadav, I see, okay, there are two left arm spinners. So I'm like, okay, there is left arm spin options. So I can still make sense of the Ekta Bisht omission or rest, whatever you want to call it. Shikha Pandey, I can't make sense of. Tanya Bhatia, I'm like, okay, she was extremely good as a wicketkeeper in the last tournament, but maybe as a batter, as a batswoman, okay, I am trying to make sense of it. Shafali Verma, would you not have tried her out in the ODIs? Could she have not been a Virendra Sehwag equivalent for the Indian team? Or importantly, given us that Alyssa Healy start that she gives for Australia, and had she given the 30-40, we would have been racing. And if she continued like the way she did when the Indian team went to Australia as part of the tour, if she gets 100, nothing like it. So get into the specifics, Yash, and break down the team for me.
So, surprising exclusion, Shikha Pandey. Let me start with the ODIs. The last ODI India played was in 2019. India did not play an ODI in the last 15-16 months. Shikha Pandey was named in the ICC ODI team of 2019. I cannot say that why she is excluded now. It cannot make any sense. Why she is excluded from the ODI thing with less than 12 months to the World Cup. Shikha was in the ICC ODI team of 2019. Why is she not playing? I do not understand. Second, T20. The last tournament India played was the T20 World Cup in Australia. Shikha Pandey was the second highest wicket taker to Poonam Yadav, and she was one of the major reasons why we went to the finals of the World Cup. Fine, in the final she got she I think so. The Healy and Mooney pair scored some 54 runs in her 4 overs, but that was the only off game she had. So why Shikha Pandey is not there, I have no idea. Ekta Bisht, she's taken some 96 wickets in 61 games. The fastest to 100 wickets is Catherine Fitzpatrick in 64 games. So had she been playing, she would have broken that record of fastest to 100 wickets. Ekta Bisht in the last 3 or 4 years has taken 50 wickets, more than 50 wickets. 56 odd wickets in ODIs. She only plays one format, but she plays the best. Uh, she bowls a lot in the power play, yet her economy is only 3.89, which I don't know. I do not know how to make sense of even that exclusion, even when Radha comes in as a like for like replacement. Because I'm only considering a 12-month period for the ODI World Cup. If this selection would have been made after the ODI World Cup, it was still it would have still made some justice. Tanya Bhatia is third exclusion for me, especially in T20s or even in ODIs. She's your best wicket keeper, not the best wicket keeper for India. She's one of the finest wicket keepers overall if you consider the globe. So she is one. She is the reason why Poonam Yadav or the other spinners are able to take wickets consistently. She does those stumping. She's able to stand up. She's your best wicket keeper choice. The reason why she hasn't been able to perform with the bat is because there has been no consistency in the position where she bats. Ahead of the 2018 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, she was made to open. She had never opened before for the Indian side. She's been continuously pushed in the middle order, lower middle order. Sometimes she does not come to bat even till number 9. So you are not able to make selections like this. Then there have been a few inclusions also. For example, Shweta Verma. So Shweta Verma, if you just take out, so for example, we have to drop Tanya for the inconsistency that she provided. Shweta Verma is the replacement that we've been able to found. Shweta Verma plays for UP. In the last, her list numbers in 2018 to 20, Shweta Verma in the 18 games that she's played has been only able to score 177 runs. While there has been another wicketkeeper, Sahi Purandare, in 16 matches, less number of matches, 2 less matches than Shweta, has scored 1,004 runs, nearly 7 times than Shweta Verma. I don't know how to make even so if we just go by the numbers, still this kind of numbers are mind-boggling, and we do not understand how to even make sense out of it.
Trisha, your thoughts on specifics? I mean, clearly, as I said, Neetu David is a legend of the game. Neetu is a good selector. I mean, if you individually check that selection committee, it has some good names. But as Yash was saying, we are finding it hard to make sense of it. And when I see the coach, my dear friend and someone I have great regards for, W.V. Raman, the captain, again, someone very close to all of us, and one of the greatest, if not the greatest batswoman the world has seen, Mithali Raj. So what's going on? I mean, captain, coach, have you been able to chat to her? Your sense of the specifics as to what's happening?
Yeah, well, I did have a chat with her, and well, I think the problem here is, as I said, a lot of new blood has been brought in the team, and I agree with Yash completely. I am for me, Shikha is surprising, and the second surprising more than Ekta, I would say, is Tanya, because she has been so good behind the stumps that I still understand Sushma is a better batter probably, but that is only because you don't give Tanya proper chances. You have to be a little more consistent, and give her a long run. In the same way, they have to be more consistent with the team selection. My only question is, why are you changing a team which was doing so well? I mean, what has happened in between in this 1 year? Nobody has retired. No, nothing has happened. I mean, I agree there's a new selection panel, but I don't know, Boria, just because there is a new selection panel, do you have to bring in changes? Why do you change something which is not spoiled? And that is exactly what is happening here. As even in pacers, Mansi Joshi has bowled well in the domestic, but then there are many other pacers who have done well, many other all-rounders like Niranjana Nagarajan who has done well, and I can't see those being inducted. I think the changes are baffling, and bringing in Shweta Verma in place of Tanya Bhatia, absolutely not understandable. And I have understood from the players, whom I have spoken to, I don't want to name anyone, but I think players who have been excluded are not understanding what is happening, and they are very, very, and rightly so, they are upset, they are sad, and they basically, some players don't even know what they should do after putting in so much of hard work and still finding themselves out of the team.
Okay. Yash, two questions to you. First one, by the way, before I make that, before I ask more questions of my two guests, every time we do shows on men's cricket, trust me, I mean, I do 5 at 5, and several people are asking me what are the other news points you want to talk about. I will give you the news points before I end the show. But 5 at 5, every time I do a show on men's cricket, I get about 600-700 comments. And at the same time, on Twitter, I'm told, in social media, I'm told, do more women's cricket, Bhatia, do more women's cricket. Among the questions that I've got, and by the way, I've got no hesitation in saying there are 100, maximum 100 comments today. Among the 100 comments or 100 questions that are coming, 50 are about the men's cricket pitch. Boss, this is a women's cricket show. Why don't you come and ask? Ask, no. You want the game to have its share. Why don't you come and ask? This is your platform. Every question will be taken. Every question will be debated. And this is what we are wanting to do. When we are trying to do the women's game as much as possible, what is the reaction we are getting? You are answers as to why the game doesn't get as much weightage as the men's game. You guys are answers. Take a look at my comment section. And that is sad. I will do my bit. Yash Lahoti is proof. He and I keep talking. Trisha Ghoshal is proof. I will invest in the women's game. I will break every possible news and get trolled. That's okay. But where is the commitment? You guys, people who keep talking about why some things are not happening in women's cricket and all of that, come to the platform. Anyway, Yash Lahoti, two questions to you. One, so is this, you think, a one-off in the sense that the selectors want to see some of these young cricketers, give them a thing against South Africa while the others play domestic cricket and go back again from, say, post the women's challenge in the IPL? And from June onwards, when India has multiple tours, we'll go back to gradually fine-tuning the team. So is this a period of experimentation according to you? And number two, what impact do you think this might have on a Shikha Pandey or an Ekta Bisht or a Tanya Bhatia?
So two things. Of course, the first pointer, is this a one-off? I'll be shocked if it is one-off, because then again you're not giving rope to the people you are trying to trust. So 8 matches, 5 ODIs, 3 T20s are not enough time to judge someone. So if you are judging a particular player who's just been included, give her say 2-3 games, and then say that, oh, why is she not playing, or why is she being rested? I don't understand that. Why wouldn't you give her another game or another series or something or the other? But at the same time, I will not be shocked if this is one-off, considering the kind of flack it is already receiving on social media and everything. People should question, and people are questioning on social media, that what is this particular selection. So I'm really shocked, and I don't think so that this will be one-off. I think so that people that the selection, because they have their own thinking that why they are including a certain set of players, they would want to continue with those set of players. Coming to what do I think about, say, potentially the people who have been dropped? It all depends on what kind of a season they will have. It all depends on what kind of a one-day season they will have. The 11th March to 4th, they have a 50-over domestic. I expect all of them to perform well and knock on the doors. I expect them to perform well in the Women's T20 Challenge in May, and potentially say to the selectors that, okay, you tried to rest us, but then still we are that good enough that we'll again knock on your doors and make our say for the future selections.
Okay. Some questions coming. Trisha, how much do WV and Mithali have a say? Ideally, as coach and captain, they should have a say because the buck stops with them. So frankly,
Absolutely.
if they don't, then they need to assert themselves. That's what I understand. I mean,
Absolutely.
if I was in Mitali's position and WV's position, if I would be mere figureheads, ultimately they are the ones who will take the flak. If India fails, we will criticize them, the coach and the captain. Number two, people are asking why no Shefali Verma. I will ask Trisha Ghoshal that question. Number three, and I'm summing up the questions here. People have asked me about Jasprit Bumrah. I'm not going to answer that Jasprit Bumrah question on this show because, as I told you, I'm not going to take men's cricket questions here because this is a dedicated show based on the selection for the women's game. We will do shows on the men's game, and if you follow my Twitter handle, you know the reason, and that's where it ends for me. So, Trisha Ghoshal, Shefali Verma, should she have been tried in the ODIs also and could have been India's X factor?
Absolutely. See, if you ask me, I can see Shefali fitting in two different roles. One, obviously, the opener role with Smriti, Shefali, and you also have to understand the opening partnership between Smriti and Shefali has been so good. They are, they can run between the wicket easily. One attacks, one defense, and there are times when both of them attack. So they can throw an opposition completely, off guard. That's point one. The other point is you can also, if you think your opening combination is set, which by the way isn't, because there is a lot of to and fro which goes on between Priya Punia and Poonam Raut and your Jemima Rodriguez. So if there are so many to and fro's, then you should look at one single person for the opening slot. And even if someone is trying to say that okay, she doesn't have a place in the opening slot, then why not at number 5 or 6? She can be a good finisher, mind you, because she can hit the ball big. And India need someone like her to actually impose themselves on the opponent. And Boryad, about the other question that you said about W.V. Raman and Mitali having a say, they should have a say. They are the captain and the coach. Number two, if I see from Mitali's point of view, if you don't assert yourself and if you don't get a team which you want probably, then aren't you putting pressure on your own self? Like, because she is the backbone of the Indian batting even now. So if you have someone like Shefali taking the pressure away from you, it actually helps you. So I'm a little confused about what happens in the team selection, but ideally, if you see, it's in not only the team's best interest, but I think Shefali in ODI should have been a given because of the way she plays and because of the way she takes on the opponents.
Okay, before I go to Yash, last few minutes on the show, there's a question from Deepak Kumar. Women's cricket in India has a mountain to climb. Indian men's cricket is more popular for the same reason Indian female badminton is more popular than men's badminton. Deepak, what you mean by that, I don't know. Because the women's team has made the final in 2017. The women's team has made the final in 2020. So what exactly are you trying to say? I couldn't figure out. Yes, I understand why you're talking about the female badminton players. Your trust is performance. And if it's performance, then the women's team has done equally well. So let's be very clear on that. If not
I think so. He's speaking more from a viewership perspective.
No, if it's a viewership perspective, then
the badminton also doesn't come, no?
What is the point? I mean, then
yeah,
that's not an argument. I mean, gender equality and equal pay, I also understand has a fair distance still to travel in India. And I do get that point. So that's one. I will take one more question to Yash, and then maybe we can close it. What should Shefali have to do to make it to the ODIs? She's the Sehwag and Rohit of women's team. She's the Shefali of the women's team.
Yeah.
So that let's leave it at that. I mean, okay, sir, do you think match will be played under lights? Sir, do you think, okay, whatever. So Yash, firstly, let's give the news points. It will be closed doors from what I know. So no crowds, number one. Number two, the ODIs are day games and the T20s are under lights. That's what I know. If I'm wrong, Yash can correct me. Yash, closing comments, last 2 minutes on the show. What's the way forward? We finally have cricket, that's positive. We have the team announcement, that's positive. We will see Mithali Raj head out, all said and done. That's the greatest sort of visual for all of us to see the team out there. South Africa comes in tonight, but what is the way forward from here on?
So the way forward, at least we have cricket. That's a good news. We need to have at least a 4 to 5 international series, and the domestic season needs to continue for India to make sure that they have their best possible squad for the New Zealand World Cup next year. Less than 12 months away now. The New Zealand World Cup starts on March 4, if I'm not wrong. So we have just 12 months. We need to have more consistent series. We need to have more press conferences to justify our selections, and we need to take questions. And at the same time, I completely agree that we should train the young blood, but at the same time, we should not forget the people who have taken our women's cricket this forward. They need to be paid their dues, and that is something that we need to take consideration of. We need to take a leaf out of Australian women's cricket. They also have a 18-member squad traveling down to New Zealand, while they have included the young blood like Hannah Darlington and Darcy Brown, but at the same time, they have included all their old players so that the new players get trained under the old players. Yeah, that's something that we need to that we need to do.
So he's talking about experience and youth, Trisha Ghoshal, a blend of that. That's what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
You have the final word. So close the show in the sense your final comments on what we have seen. Again, my positive is the team has been announced. The team is returning. South Africa coming. So we will see the team in action. And from here on, watch Sports Today because there's plenty more breaking news that will come on women's cricket very soon because something very positive is happening in the back channels, which is good for Indian cricket. We will break that. But Trisha Ghoshal, closing comments.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Yash that it's necessary to bring in youth and it's necessary to give them the exposure. But obviously, again, it has to be under the seniors. And also, I think this cannot be a one-off. Now that the selectors have gone with this team, probably then they have to stick with this team for at least 2 series because one series cannot define a single player. And secondly, I think the players also need a lot of confidence that way that, one bad match is not going to throw them out of the team because then that is the only way they are going to get confidence enough to go and express themselves. The positives here, I think the big positives here is one, obviously the women's game is back. And number 2, I would say we didn't mention much, but Rajeshwari has been bowling quite well. She has been taking wickets and I'm glad to see her in the squad. Again, Sushma has batted well. Even in women's T20 challenge, she's back. So I would say a few positives and a few negatives mixed up. The biggest thing which I would be waiting for is much like MSV Prasad or the other selectors come out and talk to the media. We would also like to know the women's selector angle. And I hope in the days to come, we also make a sense of the selection in the way these girls play. Now that they have got selected in the team, it's time for them to step up. And I think for me, particularly watching my childhood favorites, Mithali and Jhulan out in the park is the best thing. And I'm waiting for 7th March. That's the whole,
Okay, so I will say this in ending the show that just like the BCCI men's team, there are press conferences every day. The second thing is at the end of a day's play, you will now see BCCI TV broadcast very interesting conversations among players, whether it is Akshar Patel with Hardik, whether it is Virat interviewing Ashwin, whether it is Sridhar interviewing Ashwin, Pujara and others in Australia. So we see interesting content from the players being put out every day. So the request to the BCCI is let's have a professional media person travel with the women's team, much like Maulin or Rajal, who do it for the men's team. And let's have this done for the women players also. Let's start press conferences ASAP so that people can start speaking to these women, understand their perspective, how the team is getting ready, because more exposure is also important for them. Unlike the men, our women do need that kind of exposure in the media, and that's how the game can be built and the brand can be built. But in closing, that the game is back is a welcome news. We will keep doing more women's cricket on Sports Today. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe. And as I said, support the game, support the cause, and ask the questions. Thank you for watching.